Bishop Dr. Alfonso.
Morning, Princess, and how are you? Great. You look good today.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, I heard about your center, Global ADR and our legal center, so I decided to come in and ask what exactly you do. And I've heard you solve a lot of issues for people, so I would like to know what are the family disputes. If they say family dispute, what does it actually mean? I wanted to know.
Okay, that's good of you. Actually, my name is Bishop Dr. Alfonso,
Okay.
and I'm an ADR practitioner. And ADR, in short, simply means alternative dispute resolution,
Okay.
and that is other legal methods, the most appropriate legal methods, humanly and godly human methods that the law also prescribe for practitioners like us to use in resolving issues within our communities
Okay.
through legal first aid services to help before issues are escalated to police and that of court. So that is what exactly we do. One of the spectrum, the case area I will be talking about, like you rightly asked, is actually the family disputes. In totality of ADR, as far as the sub-metro of Ashaman is concerned, family disputes are the second most attended spectrum in ADR.
Okay.
So it is an area that, in order to make peace in community, to make peace in family, this very topic is so dear to my heart. It doesn't matter your faith, it doesn't matter your religion, but we all have such a problem coming from our family side.
Okay.
Okay, when we talked about disputes, like I always earlier on said, disputes are misunderstandings and differences between two parties that causes confusions and anxieties. Some are real, some are perceived. When you say family, basically the law put it as husband and wife, or the law says a spouse. Does not actually describe the husband and wife, but generally speaking, we simply put it as a husband and wife. Children, any close person that is staying within the same environment. So when we say family, as far as ADR or the law is concerned, it does not extend to your great grandfather and your great grandmother. We are talking about a spouse.
Okay.
Either you are legally married or not, you are a family. Once you dwell in a close vicinity together, your maid servant is part of the family. Even any stranger that stays with you and that person is very close with you, it's a family. For example, even if you are at a workplace and people that are very close are always working, dwelling together, are family. It's different from sibling. A sibling is actually a lineage, and the family is people mainly talking about the closeness, where you always see yourself and everything is in common. So, in a typical family settings, the first people to recognize them are basically the spouse, the husband, and the wife, the children, of course, the maid servant, or even a stranger that is especially the children are family. So any differences, confusion, or misunderstanding between these people is what we call families. Yes, so you realize here that marriage, ADR marriage dispute is quite broad. Number one, it involves marriage and divorce, it involves property distributions, and also involves protection of women and children. And basically, if we talked about using ADR in family disputes, it is quite recommendable for us to use the mediation to actually resolve issues peacefully and amicably. In dealing with family ADR, there is a special relationship between the parties involved. Normally, not party A and party B, because like I've explained, a family, anything that affects the spouse, the man and the woman, it definitely affect the children. So that's what makes it unique when you are dealing with um, family disputes in ADR.
Okay.
So, for example, if you talk about commercial business, it is purely about the owners and their employee and sometimes the contractual parties. But when it comes to the family, it involves third party concerns, even though they are third party, but they are very much concerned. A maid servant living in the house are very much concerned if two spouses are always fighting. They have a spiritual connotation and that person or the environment is learning also from the parents. So in dealing with family issues, for example, when it comes to legal marriages, these are the areas which are also involved in family dispute. And also we have a legal divorce, also which we'll be talking about it in a little bit. In some divorces are not legal, in some divorces are legal. If you have gone into a covenant marriage, which the Christians call wedding, and even the two parties agree to themselves not to marry again, and they eventually separate, and they agree to stay apart and even marry again, such divorce have to go to court, and it requires a judge approval before they can say that divorce is legal. Even though the two of them have agreed not to consummate again, but it is still not legal. So we have legal divorces and illegal divorces. Then we also talked about the family property distribution. If two spouses who are not married, I wouldn't use the word legal marriage. Once you consummate together and there's been some kind of two parents having sat and a kind of a dowry or a token has been paid, the marriage has been pronounced. Customary marriage has been constituted, which is parental responsibility like child protection. Every parent have a responsibility to protect your child or somebody else's child who is not of legal age. Every child in the community has a responsibility. So we need to protect them. That is why a codified law has been enacted on Children Protection Act. And then child maintenance. If a parent decides to starve his or her child and you are living within the community, you have a legal responsibility to go and feed the child and report that parent to probably those who are working on social welfare to be able to bring that parent to book. Because everybody living within that community is responsible for the child healthcare. One area I would like to talk about as part of family dispute is the nuptial agreement, which I would like to emphasize because a lot of young men and women don't know. And the so-called Christian Council, again in quotes, the so-called Christian Council does not take into consideration. A nuptial agreement, that is agreement between a woman and a man who have agreed to marry in the near future, to list down all the inventory of their property, signed and probably gazette it before they constitute their marriage. It's a nuptial agreement. This help at the time of divorce to be able to separate the properties acquired before marriage.
Can you please come again with the nuptial agreement?
Yes. In the nuptial agreement,
Yeah.
if I want to marry you and both of us have agreed,
Okay.
before you walk to the registrar
Okay.
to first file your license notice, you need to come out with everything that you have, a list of inventory of all your properties, your number of weight you have, your shoes, your fridges, your gas cookers, and I also come out. I have bought a land, I have a house, I have a car. We list all. Now on that inventory list, I state what belongs to the man and what belongs to the woman.
Okay.
And then we go to publishing. We swear an affidavit to that effect. And we go to publishing to register it. We have gazetted our asset before marriage. It's a nuptial agreement. And we can also register our asset during marriage. And this is what a lot of people don't do. We are married couples. But I decided to build a house for myself. The constitution talk about joint property. Today, Mensa versus Mensa is talking about 50-50. It doesn't matter whether a party contributed in cash or in kind. So it is becoming more tighter for individuals, a spouse within marriage, to own a property on their own. So in another way out, you can do a nuptial agreement. In the nuptial agreement, we will sit and agree with the children.
Okay.
That as for this specific house, Daddy have told me and I've agreed that he's building it for himself. Even though it will be recorded on his will. But this second house is building it for me. So the two of you will agree and make agreement and swear an affidavit or declaration to that effect.
Okay.
That even though we are not dead yet, even though we have not divorced, but as for this fridge there, it's actually my fridge. And the man can also decide to do what we call a gift of appreciation to the children. Or even though we have built our house, as for us, we think that we only work after death. So now that we are alive, this very house, we don't know who will intrude to bring confusion. So let us give it as gift of appreciation to our children.
Okay.
And then you put into legalization for as gift of appreciation. That is a nuptial agreement.
Okay.
Even though we have married, the law gives us 50-50 opportunity, but we have still decided to share our properties in 75-25, for example. Or a specific property is not going to be a family property. I built it for my mother. I built it from your mother for your mother. So let's put it to right. But when your mother died, it will reverse back to the family. When my mother died, that property. That is, we are married, but we have still, even though we have a special agreement between the marriage,
Okay.
which the law will use it finally when there is divorce. When there is no divorce and when there is no death, you can't share property. I repeat here, if you are family and you are not dead yet and you have no divorce, you can't share property. The property belongs to the two. So nuptial agreement will help us to own property whilst the marriage is in place.
Okay.
I hope you understand.
Okay.
Very good.
What are the rights of a family?
Yeah, it's a very good question. If you look at the 1992 Constitution, it gave a provision for what a family is and what are their rights.
Okay.
And I would like to read verbatim. 1992 Constitution provides that adult men and women, without any limitation due to race, color, ethnic origin, nationality, religion, creed, or a social or economic status, have the right to marry and start a family. Here we are, the right to marry, culturally and religiously, is becoming a parent affair, which I feel also we need to revise our mindset. People still think that the pastor have a role to play in the selection of who to marry in the church.
Okay.
People still think that parents have the role to play. Legally, you don't. Once you are of legal marriage age, you have the right by the constitution to choose which religion, which tribe, whether short, tall, black, fair, a disabled, you have the right. It doesn't matter their stature or color or creeders. So the constitution make it clear. So here my honest advice is that the way religion is pushing itself into families and the way parents are also pushing themselves, the way family heads are pushing themselves, it is unconstitutional. They are trampling upon legal age person who want to make a decision. So that tradition also contradicts the right of a family. by law. Good.
I would like to know what is the ethnic religion? Because someone may ask.
Yeah, ethnicity. For example, in Ghana, there's a clear perception that there seems to be a controversy between the accounts and that of our dear brothers and sisters, the
Okay.
Rotarians. It's an ethnic conflict.
Okay.
Whether it is real, I think that is a perceived thing.
Okay.
And therefore, when one is crossing to the other, hey, these people are like that. And when you go there, this is what they are going to do. It's an ethnicity. And the constitution have liberated everybody to cross carpet anywhere. It doesn't matter your religion. The Muslims can marry a Christian, and the Christian can marry a Muslim. Don't take it from me, I'm a bishop, so I will not speak the law. This is what the law says. So if two religious parties believe that the Christian should marry a Christian, that is fine to them. But the law does not say that a Christian cannot marry a Muslim and a Muslim cannot marry a Christian. So this is what the Constitution is talking about the liberation of the family right.
Okay, my fellow viewer, as you can see and as you can hear, the law did not say we shouldn't marry. Christian shouldn't marry a Muslim, or no Muslim shouldn't marry a Christian. It's the right to marry anyone you want, whichever color you want. You have the right to marry whichever one you want to marry to.
Provided the two spouses are of legal age. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
what are the legal age to marry?
We have various age prescribed in different codes. The right to work in Ghana is today pegged at 15 years.
Okay.
The right to have sex is 16 years, sex with consent.
Okay.
The criminal code put it as. So when you have a child and he is not 18 years, you see parents are still beating their children who are 16 and 17, that they are still young. But when you read the Criminal Offence Act 1960 Act 29, it pegs the age of sexual consent at 16 years. But that does not make a lady of 16 years permissible to marry. The marriage age is actually 18 years, and I want to emphasize on that. So any young man and a young woman who are becoming boyfriend, girlfriend, and their age is not up to 18 years cannot marry. Even though the criminal code does not make you a criminal to have sex with a 16-year-old girl with consent. So you can't say you have raped the person or the person is underage if it is within the consent. But that does not mean that I have sex with that 16-year-old girl, so I will marry her. You have to wait until the girl is actually 18 years. So the working age is 15. The sex age is 16. The marriage age is going to be 18. And school going age is 21 and 24. When you claim that you are a student, so you should be exempted from certain things, then you should be at least more than 21 years. So the law have various ages for various activities that you can perform and you cannot perform.
Okay. What of if you are at that age as a boy and you want 18 years
Yes.
and you have the right to marry, as the law says?
Yes.
What of if your pocket is not ready
You are
now?
talking about religion and you are talking about tradition. In reality and actually, marriage is a responsibility and you need. But if the so-called say by accident, the person have impregnated another lady of 80 years and the two of them have agreed to marry, it is a responsibility. The parents cannot stand in and say they are too young. Police cannot arrest them to say they are underage because they are not working. No, whether you are working or not, you should be responsible for your own decision and your own act. So yes, the parents can stand in to say we are delaying the marriage because both of them are not working. If the two parties agree, fine. But at the end of the day, they can consummate together. You cannot avoid them. So having job and having money is not a criteria of agreeing or disagreeing the two adult couples not to marry.
Very interesting. Okay, so what are some of the regulatory laws governing the family dispute resolution?
Yes, even though we are ADR practitioners
Okay.
and we use the spectrums, but there are laws and regulations, codified laws enacted to regulate this area.
Okay.
So my professional advice is that individual ADR practitioner must be compliant with the law, even though we are not doing law, even
Okay.
though we are not lawyers. We always say that we are not lawyers, we are not lawyers. But of course, law is part of our job because at the end of the day, whatever settlement agreement that you end must be compliant with the law. And it must also stand the test of legal review and appeal. Otherwise, you finish your ADR settlement agreement and it will be thrown away. And what work have you done? So I am of the view that every ADR person, whatever case area you are entering, like family law,
Okay.
you must have the law at your back and ADR at your front using family mediation. But who said family mediation does not contain law? It contains law. How do you even share and distribute properties? How do you sit in divorce cases if you don't know the codified law on it? So we shouldn't be deceived that we are ADR, so law doesn't matter. Law matters. We have laws like the 1992 Constitution, Article 518 of the 1992 Constitution, and Article 22(3) talking about the property rights of spouse, and PNDC law 111, interstate succession law. They are all regulating family laws. And whether you are ADR practitioners or not, when it comes to testate and interstate issues, you need to look at whether there is will or there is no will. You need to also know the Will Act, the 1971 Act 360. Onuadɔfoɔ, meden di Bishop Dr. Bafo Asare. Meyɛ agya, na mesan so yɛ ɔsɔfoɔ. Adwuma a meyɛ ne ADR. ADR yɛ adwumakuo bi a aban anactive law de asupporto adwuma a yɛyɛ a yɛsiesie mantam ankora adwuma ne yɛ adwuma. Watimi ne waka me kunsum ne aka yɛ obiara a ɛwɔ wɔ ne wo nua ne wadamfo ne wasɔre ba ntɛm wɔn. Yɛtena hɔnom sɛ yɛnya adɔyɛfoɔ deɛ nso aban atete ama yɛtumi krataa yɛde yɛ adwuma yɛtumi de siesie asɛm na yɛtumi use ADR principles no. Wɔn pɛ sɛ wɔde w'asɛm bɛkɔ court na mpo yɛka sɛ mɛmfo asɛm nkɔ court. Yɛka sɛ mɛmfo asɛm mfa nkɔ police station. Asɛm biara a ɛyɛ ha wɔ ɛyɛ ntɔkwa ɛyɛ kunsum wɔ wo ne wo nua ntɛm wɔnte aseɛ. Wadwa yɛ ɔprekese ebia wɔ asase asɛm. Ebia wo ne wo fie wura mu de esi ani. Ebia wo ne wo nua a moyɛ adwuma biara de abom wo. Ebia abusua ni mu agyapadeɛ bi atɔ, ebia agya atɔ, ɛna atɔ. Agyapadeɛ bi abɛda abusua ne ntam a ɛsɛ mo kyɛ. Akɔyɛ kunsum ne aka yɛ mu ne mu mmara ɛbɔ ho ban. Wɔyɛtu bros, wɔyɛtu twɛdeɛ. Adɛn na wɔmfɛ mma global ADR. Na yɛmfɛ mmara ne mfɛ nto wɔntumi nkyerɛkyerɛ wɔ. Na nte aseɛ ntumi nyɛ dɛ ɛnyɛ adwuma. Yɛsiesie asɛm. Adeɛ a ɛda wakoma korɔ so a wɔpɛ ɛno ne yɛgyina so de asiesie. Onuadɔfo, saa ADR asɛm yi a me ne mo ba bɛkyɛ de ne tietie wɔ yi. Tie na hyɛ ne nso na fa to tirim. Sɛ wowɔ problem bi te sɛ land issues a bakɔtɔ asase asanta mo de foforɔ starte dan aba bɛbu agu nsɛm bebree de land guardfoɔ de taataa. Wowɔ tenancy issues so a ADR adwuma a wɔyɛ no wɔne wo fie wura wo han dan obi so han dan ɔsɔre a wɔne wo ntɔkwa wofa ha hei woyɛ sɛ ya hei ɔbo akutia wabie ne nnwom yɛtuatua waso wotama so yɛatom wontumi ntua wobɛtumi atua yɛtu yɛntumi ɛno nso ɛyɛ ɛho adwuma a ADR a yɛyɛ. Family issues sɛ obi ne wo ba nyem wanye wankasa nso bi wɔ hɔ bɛma bi wɔ hɔ ɔba bi wɔ hɔ ɔhwɛ ne mba agya wu ɛna wu wɔgya mo agyapadeɛ ne kyɛ no abɛyɛ problem abusuapani agye abɔ so. Ɛnsɛm bebree na ɛkɔ so sɛ bia wɔregya yɛ aba ɛkwan bɛɛ so na agya ɛne ne yere wɔn mo fa so akyɛ wɔn nneɛma ɛhe ne nkwadaa no bɛtena akɔfa wɔntwi aba ntɔkwa ba fa bra yɛdi a yɛ adwuma no woni obi yɛ adwuma wɔyɛ twa ɔbɛ adwuma ɔso obi tua aka boso mi do ontua aka onye bi di deɛ ɛmu mu akatua no deɛ ma obi afa wɔ store wotɔn adeɛ boso mi store wontua wɔka wɔyɛ kaa ewura wɔde aba wɔ campaign onye bi tɔ aduane di deɛ ba ne boso mi akatua ma edu baabi a wɔsɛ wɔgye kaa ne firi hɔ wontua ba ne nyinaa commercial bibi biara a wɔyɛ
yes see what you my prekesi office will be a bukasa there will be anyway fanebra global ADR ni betimi aboa properties who are japade will be free with some wakoto car won't you can ye baba be car no sika nso a akam wakwakoye asase bi ho ento ase what is sika koto car bi enti ase one wie sika na wie emphasize na ma wa yemfa car na ma wa twintwan bia ho pese yen san so yen tetew na won so ma me practitioner say ne ye na ADR nso timi mwa mantem kunsun ne ntokwa a ebetimi aboa ama okoro ye ene ne jesoro nko ne nkabom etumi aba ewo mantem a bra ne yebetetew ede miriti a we bi betu estaketu we bia me etimi atetew kasa bia wo kan bi ebetimi atetew wo mu na so timi de akọ ba ko esa adwuma ne bi ye frɛ bi se paralegal ahye na atirere ya atete ya etimi de ye emra pepe bia general agreement so bia wo pese wo di dwa ko ese oni obi ya agreement wo ba no a wo ba be ware wo paper wo ba be tu kwan wo paper oni obi ye adwuma wo pese ye mwa wo ni intimi tro job description contract agreement biara wo pese wo ye adwuma biara wo pese wo ye de betu wo na de etwa mu kura ne se e bia wa asem bi wo court wo ha all of a sudden wo yam jo show na be live afro near the rate of sermon that be show inside then na wo ye wo ni captain ya wo go fa lawyer na to su nya bubu wan konso a ebebu asem India guzu ko wan go court be continue fabra ebehwe o rate of sermons no betu esika ketuwe pini abo apepesi abehia nyina na wan kasa handle wo case wo ni mu case no echen lawyer fu mienu no na wo su ni mu case no chen judge de wo hia ne se o papers ya hwehwe ni bibia wo court akwan so kwantempon ne ten se ne o procedures e de o format tie ye ho ni mu dia ye sua kwadare mu pa e be hwehwe wo court papers nyina ma pasam wo court nim de ekosie wo lawyer wo frɛ na wo mfa wo busan sa asɛm na kosi sɛn a wo court nti wo ntimi ka ho benchiro bo modern na bra ye ho ni betumi aka ni case na kwa kodro sɛ wo ye ni yi o sɛ wo nyi ni yi o ye nya so access for lawyers ban so ho to ba ye betumi aboa problem biara wo apart from constitutional case ni criminal case wo de ba global ADR center ya wa shama wo ba ye betumi aboa o we kira kwan ya bo modern ara na ko wo gogoji ya PRS no so na bo GB-026-0037 GB-026-0037 so wo hwehwe paso pani ba fa sare wo ye dia practitioner wo be frɛ no anaso be WhatsApp no wo 024 3010 898 024 3010 898 video ya wo hwe wa he video bebre di nkyeremu bebre ya ba sa wo pese wo timi nyanti asakasa wo betimi di ehu ne ese wo ya ko Facebook ana sa ko YouTube ko kwa hwehwe global ADR TV wa ye videos ni bebre e betimi ama wo nkyeremu ko na ko tie bi na wa tukuru wasam a ese ka wo de ko police afa ko police wasam wan kese ka wo de akọ wo ko de akọ na wo tie bi wie na ati asie wie a bo unu amane ebo so fo amane ebo wasore ba amane ebo bo busu afo nyina amane no amu nso amu ma obi nso amane na obi nso mu obi amane na ye nyina ye nyi global ADR no ento asem bi o bi ayetimi abo atumi asiesie amanti ase ayeduma onyame asomdwe na ye sere de amawo asomdwe mra wo so asomdwe mra wo nu aso asomdwe mra Ghana so asomdwe mra bi ase nyina me nu ado force ado nri onyame asomdwe na me ma baba.
What are some of the measures need to be taken in establishing ADR family unity to make things easier?
Generally speaking, the law talks about a person
Okay.
that has been chosen by the two parties is qualified to mediate in the general sense. But when you come to family mediation, the person should be well versed with codified laws that exist. The person should be matured enough. And maybe the person should even also be a family person. Religiously, the person must be of sound mind. He needs to be aware of the codified laws that exist regulating family behaviors. Okay. And that person must be human, must be godly. He must believe in the faith. Not necessarily believe in the faith, but he must respect the faith of the two families. Imagine you are a pastor and Muslim spouse have come to you. If you are not careful to hash your faith, you use Christian faith in guiding their mediation process. That will not go down well. So even though mediation is based on the 6 principles, that is the 6 P's, the principles, the protocols, the procedures, the papers involved, and the practice. However, in family mediation, you must also take into account the cultural settings, the traditional background of the two spouse, the children involved, the third parties within the enclosure, which is part of the family. It is very necessary, and their culture. So if you want to go strictly according to ADR 6 P's, then you have lost the sight of their shanties, their airways. They cherish this, they cherish that. ADR does not define those things. But in the family settings, you need to look at the culture, tradition, the third parties involvement, which are basically the maid servants, the people who are very close, living with them, how that dispute between the spouse affects them in the house. Basically the children also. So you need to put in place that thinking outside the box to be able to be creative and not only to think about the interests, the need, and the relationship of the disputant, but also their siblings and the people within the family. So that makes it different from just going straight away on the target of ADR spectrum. Also looking at the external environment.
So how does ADR involve in divorce case in Ghana?
Divorce case in Ghana, yes or no, as far as ADR is concerned. If they are Muslims and the two parties agree to come to you for ADR for divorce, their religious belief mandate their sheikhs and their imams. And one of their doctrine is that the man write a letter to the imam to the lady. And is compensated in a shaman here, is compensated 1,000 Ghana cedis. And they perform their religious beliefs and divorce is done. In the next moment, they move the woman from the matrimonial home. So you are ADR practitioner. Are you going to use the ADR principles or what their religion says? In Christianity, they believe in ordinance marriage, which is purely legal and law. And the law strictly says that a divorce petition must be sent to court, not a pastor, and not the family head. So ADR can involve in divorce case, but there are limits depending on the type of marriage, whether it is customary. If it's customary, even the ADR practitioner should also get involved with at least a minimum of 2 parties from both families, including most importantly the family head of the 2 parties. So you realize that the very people who will proceed on divorce cases, not only you the practitioner, but also the family heads are involved. So if you go raw by saying that, oh, in ADR, it's the duty of the 2 parties to appoint a mediator and power is invested in him to sit from end to end, you make mistake in divorce cases. Okay? Because the petition of divorce must go to court. However, ADR have a role to play. For example, divorce are in 2 phases, even 3 phases. The first phase is the 2 parties agree to disagree that they will not continue the marriage. And if that happens, then the ADR practitioner can involve the families of the 2 parties to appear before the mediator and resolve those agreements in a form of commission of votes, in form of court or legalization of dissolving that marriage.
When that first phase is finished, that is not all. Then the second phase is whether or not children are involved. Now, strictly, it is not about negotiating between the two. It's about what the law says, the guidelines of child custody, which have been clearly defined in the Children Act. So there, you cannot just leave the two parties where if the father is influential in terms of economic, he have money and in terms of political power affiliations to people, he can just take his children from the woman and that is the end. And then the mediator is helpless. Or the woman may not know the law and he just say that the father should take over the children. As for her, he's tired. Why the children are below 7 years? The law does not allow that. So even though you are a ADR practitioner, the law should be at your back to guide you in divorce processes, clearly spelled out, and even in the Matrimonial Cause Act as to where the children should stay, depending on their age and circumstances in terms of capacity and the circumstances of the emotions of the two parties. All boils down to the interests of the children. Which one will be better for the children? That is what we are looking at. So when it is covenant, where it seems like there's no way for ADR, there is still a way for ADR, innovation approach. If the two covenant divorcees agree to appear before an ADR practitioner to swear an oath to dissolve their marriage, they can. However, it has not ended. You should still have to prepare a writ and tender it in court. But you state it in your claim that the marriage has been dissolved by the two, and you cite an exhibit of an affidavit sworn in the ADR center. So you go to court only when there is confusion on child custody and access, and when there is confusion on property distribution. So if the ADR practitioner is good and is able to work out with the child custody and access and able to resolve completely with the property distribution according to the law, not according to the agreement of the two parties. If they are able to do that, then it makes divorce very easy and straightforward.
Let's say children are vulnerable in a divorce case.
That is the second level is the good. As for the two adult couples, before they come to you, the ADR practitioner, they have already agreed to disagree.
Okay.
They have agreed. Otherwise, even if you invite them, they won't come. So the next step is the children, which is purely law. And the next important thing also is the property distribution, which you have to now go to what exactly how the law says about the distribution. If it becomes difficult for you or misagreement, please, it is purely reserved for the court to decide. The feuding party can file a writ at court. They will not throw away the divorce itself, but become part of the process. But the issue of property sharing must definitely have to go to court. If the two parties agree within the law of the children, perfect. If they don't agree, definitely it must go to court. So nobody can dissolve ordinance marriage completely in ADR center. Why? Because the law insists that all marriage petitions must be tendered in law court for a judge to be sacrificed.
So what are the conditions for holding the divorce?
There is where there's always confusion with people, especially with men against women. Especially with men against women. There are 5 strict conditions, but even not all the 5 should meet before divorce can occur. Number 1, we have adultery. You see, Christians are becoming so hypocrite that they suspect everything. But if you look at the adultery of definition, theological definition of Christian faith, even if we see a woman and you're beginning to have a lust over that woman, you are of course an adultery, isn't it? But Christians who don't look at that side, but they want to look at another man is having sex with my wife, so he has caused adultery. So adultery is one of them. But again, it is one of the most wicked points to use for divorce.
Why?
You see, the law makes it so tight that you cannot even prove a woman or a man have caused an adultery. 1, it is saying that you have caught the two adulterous acts, caught them rare-handed. You saw them doing it. Videos and recordings will surely even be rejected in a law court. They will not accept it. Just like our dear sister Schwarzenegger incident, not to say it in a negative way, but for education purposes. At the end of the day, whatever the man recorded and put into social media, the man was charged. The man was charged for a wrong act doing. Okay. Now, what makes it even more difficult is that, don't laugh, it's very, very funny. You should be able to prove in the law court that there was a slightest penetration. You saw the man with his stick inside the woman, and there was a slightest penetration. And that has to be proved by a medical doctor. So if a man is kissing your wife on the bed and they are naked, it's not adultery. You should prove that from medical report there was what? Penetration. Secondly, the most interesting part, the law says that if you are able to contain the woman, you have gone to see your wife engaging in adultery, and you say, "May, I will never mind her, I will never take care of her," and you come home and you don't take action, and it is after 3 months you can't take action again, unless you take the necessary step to resolve the issue within the 3 months. If you don't take the necessary step to resolve the issue within 3 months and after 3 months, you can't use it as a case against him in adultery. Why? Because you are able to contain the woman for 3 months. So your hormones have gone down. So on the natural course, you have settled. If you make a mistake and you have sex with a woman for once, that counts as adultery. Are you hearing me? If you compromise with your wife who you have caught having an affair with all your evidence, but he cook for you, you enjoy it, he wash your things, you wear it, you leave money for her to do everything as husband and wife, you have compromised. You can live with adultery and you will say fine. The law will never agree. So even though adultery is a ground for divorce, but it is the most weakest one. 2, unreasonable behavior. How do you define unreasonable behavior? A reasonable man point of view is what is beyond what a reasonable person would do. He goes drinking and sometimes he goes naked. He goes stealing human pint and other things in the market, and that is bringing disgrace on your reputation. He abuses you in the public. Okay, he does things that a marriage woman or man shouldn't do, and because of her behavior, listen, it has become an impossible for you to cooperate again. You should show a cause that because of her behavior, you cannot even go to work. It is affecting your morality. It is bringing a disgrace. If you are not able to show that because of that person's behavior, how it's affecting your well-being, it is not the ground for divorce. Okay. And generally speaking, you have to go through the 3 stages. First of all, try to resolve it yourself. If it doesn't work, through your friend. If it doesn't work, through your pastor. You put the cases of when it happens and when it took place.
I mean, that is what the law says.
That is what the law prescribes. So even though it is a condition for divorce, but it is really difficult for you to have your way through some of these things. Now, point number 3 is talking about desertion. When the woman pack her things and leave the man, or when a man pack his things and leave the woman, the condition is this: you must stay away without knowing yourself, hearing yourself, seeing yourself for 2 years. If you are able to stay for the 2 years, then why now? 2 years and 1 day is enough grounds for divorce. So when somebody wants to divorce you, you can just go hiding. You look for her, he will call you, he change his number, you will look for her, you won't get it. After 2 years and 1 day, you go and file a rate. and it qualifies him or her to cause your divorce. Point number 4. When you are 2 years in separation, this is with consent. The set is not with consent. When you go quiet without letting nobody knows where you are deserted. But when you also go with consent, you lie to your husband that you are tired, you want to take a quick leave, your mother, your father is sick, you want to go and take care of him. The place you are living is too small, your things are many. Let's hiring a new place so that after the new place you come. You are giving consent. You know where your wife is. But he goes immediately reach there 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Are you not coming? He said, Shakai, I am comfortable here. Oh, give me 1 month, give me 2 months, and after 2 years, he has qualified for divorce. You are able to stay single for 2 years, so why not? So this area to a lot of women who want to find a cruel way of running away from their husband, they do that. They talk, they chat, they do everything, but they are not staying together. And after 2 years, they are no more consummating as marriage couples. Last but not
How
least,
does it affect both?
you see always one is pushing and one is not responding. You go there, they sack you. He will make the brothers and the sisters sack you. We don't want to see you in the house, but your wife is there. You call her, he doesn't pick your call. You send text messages, he's not responding. He doesn't need your money. Sometimes you even send money to her, he will send the money back to you. He's preparing you for 2 years divorce.
So what does the law say about the woman behavior?
Yes, the man should take all the necessary steps within the 2 years to bring her back. The court cannot force the woman to come back.
If not,
You can't sue her. Divorce is not by force. The Lord does not push any man to any woman to any man. All what he's doing is that he's backing time to use the 2 years threshold to file for divorce. So when a man or a woman see those signs, you have a lawyer behind her who is advising her. Then you also advise yourself. The only thing is that when the man got you, that you are also engaged in improper behavior, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, then his case becomes sweet by adding adultery to it. Okay? But in the nutshell, the last one is the most critical one. The 5 years not having lived together. There's a tribe in Ghana here who normally don't stay together when they marry. When the father is here and the mother is here, even you are workers and you are being transferred, but you will never live together after 5 years. It's automatic divorce. So those people who have married in Ghana through picture and their husbands did not come, and never before come, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, after 5 years, the marriage is automatically broken. Beyond reasonable.
by law.
Yes, by law. It's broken down beyond reasonable request, so you can file a divorce totally. So if a woman you are staying waiting for your Ghanaian husband 15 years, your marriage is collapsed, it's already broken down.
So what are some of the mistakes of a family head and some of the person do in managing family issues?
You know, because of our tradition and our culture setup,
Okay.
most cases go to our family head, that is our penny. And they mess us up.
Okay.
And again with the ministers, they have gone to study Christian counsel, one way direction. Only one person comes to complain and we advise that person using our faith quotations and prayer. But there are set rules depending on the kind of the dispute that they have. And most of the disputes have their own codified law. But the family setup, they are not lawyers. And so you don't expect them to know. And they make a lot of mistakes. For example, these divorce cases. There is a common perception that with the name Sababa command from the women to the man's family. Because the man brought a drink to the woman's family. So they think when you take the drink back to the penny, the marriage is dissolved. No. A marriage petition should be tendered into court for proceedings. So Penny, the head of families, made mistake by divorcing at their chamber, and They don't pay particular attention to the children between them and also that of the family property. And mostly you see the men are championing the ownership of the family property. And they don't have the power to go and share the man's house and give the woman 50. They don't have the power. Pastors' mistakes are double. They are so much interested in conducting the marriage, but when it comes to divorce, they clean their hands. Go to court, they are not bodies. So the only thing that the church members need to do is to desert the church and go and pick a lawyer and cause divorce.
So this is serious. Why is it so? What's this?
It is so because scripture have make divorce looks like does not exist.
Okay.
And Christianity, religion, beliefs, and worldview prohibit divorce. So once you enter into that zone, you are a friend to the devil. So pastors shine you. It doesn't matter whether you are right or you are wrong. Once the word divorce is pronounced, the church will hear it. So you, the church member, you have left with your faith. So the only thing is to go and see a lawyer. The lawyer battle the case for you. So they make a lot of mistakes. If during courtship, okay, during counseling, if they have actually let the couples to know what to do during divorce, it would have been easy for Christian community. But unfortunately, they will tell you how sweet and beautiful marriage is, but they won't tell you about divorce. So when it is time for divorce, you know what to do. So these are the mistakes that pastors must also learn to know that divorce exists 6 times in Christian Bible and also exists in the law, and the two parties can disagree or agree to divorce, and it is also divorce. So they make a lot of mistakes by forcing to put the spouse together. Why clearly the two parties have agreed on because they see it as evil. So there are a lot of mistakes that they do, and they don't end it well when it comes to property distribution and child care.
So what are some of the common cases that comes to ADR? And how do you solve them?
In global ADR, we do all,
Okay.
and we settle on all issues. For example, child neglect, minor case abuse, child legal adoption,
Okay.
marital dispute, family dispute, child custody and maintenance, rejected pregnancies, marriage registration, we do divorce to some level, a property settlement, testate and intestate disputes, and homeless child. These are the areas that we go in to help when there is confusion in such areas as far as family disputes are concerned. And we also counsel married couples a lot and counsel their children as to their right and their universal right to stay in the family.
So in case if the case isn't solved at your center, how how do you deal with your
Yes, ADR is not supposed to solve all cases. It is not our onerous responsibility. The law says that we try our possible best to ensure that issues are amicably and acceptably mutually accepted. Settlement agreement. But then you are not bound to any law that you should by force able to resolve. There are some issues no matter what you do, you cannot resolve it. So we have stakeholders that we work with. Okay, some issues you have to refer to social welfare within your environment,
okay.
and some issues you have to refer to those or what. Some issues you have to refer to the police.
Very necessary.
Yes, very necessary. When there is connoted criminality and where there is continuous threat, you try to calm one party and one party continue.
Violence.
Yeah, I will kill you. Okay, I will shoot you. I will beat you. And these things connote violent threats. And if you try to counsel such a person to a level and he persistently doing it, you need to involve police. We also work with legal aid scheme and the Ministry of Women and Children. And then the Department of Social Welfare also work with. And these are our stakeholders So if you are a ADR practitioner, never try to be able to resolve all cases. All these facilities are there for you to go there for further help. So I do, in some few cases, I do make reference to all these people. They also make references to us sometimes. They also make references to us.
So you think they have all the solutions?
Not necessarily, but they are backed by another law.
Okay.
And ADR is backed by its own law, amicable settlement. In fact, what you have the power by law to persecute. So what you have the right to lock a husband or to lock a wife, depending on the previous action that you have done. And that is good. That tames people who are threatening the behavior people. It's very common phenomenon with threat. Sometimes the women threat the men. They threat them with sex, they threat them with food, they threat them with torture. People use knife, people use scissors in the night, and the men wake up from their slumber and they realize that their wife have put a knife under their pillow. Even though mostly it's not the intention of the woman, but they just want the woman to know that he too can do something.
Okay.
And some women also say, I'll poison you. Okay, but men are mostly, I will beat you up or I will kill you.
Okay.
And ours are more grievous. And when such words are coming and you try to cancel them and it is not working, please immediately make reference to those who have the law to persecute, especially what you.
So does that mean women also beat men?
Hey, they don't report, oh. Women beat men.
In what sense?
Hey, physically and emotionally. People are starving their husband for 2 years. Emotionally, you kill his spirit.
So what does the law say about that?
Yes. The law does not have any procedure for that.
Okay.
A man should be able to settle with a woman, and the woman should be able to settle with the man, or employ a third party like ADR to be able to judge all with it. Okay. Denial of sex does not connote strongly a divorce point. And that is what a lot of men don't know. And then they will start beating the women. So the beating becomes an assault. And police will handle you well. But the actual thing is a denial of sex. But that will not go to police station. Both of them will keep quiet about it. So women also pepper men very well. This issue of sex is about mental perception. Wearing khaki knicker in the night, frustrating and punishing them, even though the men continue giving money. But that cordiality is not there. So denial of sex. And sometimes communication. They punish the men for not communicating to the men. The men ask them anything they will not know. And that becomes too much burden on the man because he doesn't know what is in the woman's mind. And some women can take a boyfriend just to punish the men. Sometimes nothing amorously happens. Sometimes something happens. Purposely that the men are misbehaving. So they also want to punish the husband to do that. Sometimes physical abuse. Some of the men are so weak, most respectable, or they are so strong that they feel the women are fragile and they will not even defend themselves. The women will be slapping them and beating them. It happens. But less than 1% of men who have been beaten in the bedroom report. But the women will quickly walk out and start shouting, "Okubi, Okubi, Okubi." So the violence is give and take. It's everywhere. Good.
So what is the solution now about a man if your wife have such a behavior? What will you do as a man?
It is a misconduct. It's a marital misconduct. And it is not acceptable. So men don't die in your own small area. Men must come up to global ADR or any ADR closer to them. So if I have any point to advocate or dialogue publicly, then that is going to encourage men also to report misconduct of women against them. Threats of women against men are very dangerous, but they can kill you slowly. They can make other men also kill you, and it is happening. And they can make emotional starving of sex, starving of food, and other things also kill you. So the men should be open. Those who Waju police are there for both spouse. You shouldn't feel shy going to say your wife has slapped you. Not because you cannot fight your wife, but there should be no fight. But the wife must be brought into good behavior. So I'm advising that men should come to ADR. You don't necessarily need to go to police station because your wife has beaten you. You don't necessarily need to go to court because your wife has beaten you. But we come to ADR so that we can use acceptably mutual and acceptable way of resolving the issue between the marriage partner. And then there will be peace. When there is peace between the marriage, there is peace in the family. When there is peace in the family, there is peace in the community. When there is peace in the community, there is peace in the country. When there is peace in the country, there is peace in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Can you
much.
please leave your center address if anyone wanted to?
My global area center is located in Community 22, Chama, basically on the road leading to Ashama, New Town Junction. Our location GPRS address is GP dash 026 dash 0037. GP dash 026 dash 0037. Anybody that is hearing us and seeing us, you can contact Global ADR on either WhatsApp or by call through 024 3010 898. 024 3010 898. You can just WhatsApp us your problem and we'll do legal case evaluation and advise you, we'll give you legal first aid advice for you to know whether there is a need for us to proceed or we come in or you come in. ADR have no jurisdiction, and ADR have no boundary. No matter whatever family cases that you have, Global ADR is well capable of our professionals to resolve all cases within your corridor, within your bedroom, within your house. Where our interest is to make peace in the family so that there will be peace in the world. Thank you so much for being with us for all this while. We hope that you will call up to us for us to help you to help the world. Thank you so much.
Hello, my fellow viewers. This is Global ADR and Paralegal Center, which belong to Bishop Dr. Bafo Asari. It is a place where issues are solved. If you have any issue concerning land, family issue, tenancy, divorce, come. ADR is ready to help you. We deal with family issue, irrespective of your religion. If you are a Christian, if you are a Muslim, if you are religion at all, you can come and your issue will be solved amicably. When you come to ADR, ADR is cheap, ADR is flexible, ADR is free, and ADR is godly. Please come and your issue will be solved. You don't have any problem. If you come, if you need any counseling, he also take you through counseling, he will take you through anything that will help you. Come to ADR and your life will never be the same. ADR, you do all. Thank you so much, Bishop Dr. Bakwasa.